My husband announced during our son's college graduation he had taken out loans in my name. We'll figure it out, he shrugged. My son was livid. I exhaled. Oh, we will, I said, because I already had the loans investigated. And guess what? You just committed fraud. I should have known something was wrong. My husband's hand tightened around his champagne flute, his grin a little too forced as he clinked glasses with our son. The restaurant buzzed with laughter and conversation, the golden glow of the chandeliers casting a warm light over our celebration. Our son, our pride and joy, sat across from us, the weight of years of studying finally off his shoulders. Today was supposed to be about him. But then my husband cleared his throat. I have an announcement, he said, raising his glass. I just want to say how proud I am. College is no small feat, and you've done it, son. We're so lucky to have been able to support you along the way. My son smiled, oblivious. I wasn't. Something about my husband's voice felt off. And speaking of support, he continued, I took out some loans in your mother's name to help with the costs. But hey, we'll figure it out. A casual shrug, as if he were discussing the weather, as if my entire financial future wasn't just torched in front of me. The restaurant noise dimmed. Or maybe that was just my blood rushing in my ears. My son froze mid-laugh. His face twisted in disbelief. You what? My husband leaned back in his chair. It's fine, he said smoothly. I mean, come on. It was for the family. We'll handle it. I exhaled slowly. Set my glass down with deliberate care. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm. Too calm. Oh, we will handle it. My smile didn't reach my eyes. Because I already had the loans investigated. My husband's expression faltered. Just a flicker, gone as quickly as it appeared. But I saw it. And guess what? I continued, savoring the way his fingers tensed around the stem of his glass. You just committed fraud. Silence. For the first time in years, I saw something close to fear in his eyes. My son shoved his chair back, the legs scraping against the polished floor. His hands curled into fists. You stole from Mom? You. He shook his head, his voice breaking. You used her like a damn bank? Calm down. My husband snapped, the fake charm gone. I did what I had to do. We couldn't afford. We could have figured something out together. My voice cut through his excuses like a blade. Instead, you lied. Stole. You forged my signature, didn't you? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Because I already knew. The waiter approached hesitantly, sensing the tension. Is everything all right? I forced a smile. Perfect. My husband swallowed hard. I could almost hear the gears turning in his head, searching for a way out. He'd always been good at that, twisting words, making himself the victim. But this time, he wasn't getting away with it. Not now. Not ever. I picked up my napkin, dabbing at my lips. Then I leaned in, voice low and lethal. You think you can just shrug this off? Think I'll be the good little wife who stays quiet, who fixes everything like always? I tilted my head, watching his confidence crack. Guess again. He opened his mouth, probably to spin another lie, but my son beat him to it. You're a coward, he spat. His chair nearly toppled as he stood. I looked up to you. And this is who you really are. His voice wavered, but the fire in his eyes didn't. You make me sick. My husband reached for him, but my son stepped back. Don't. The air between us was thick, heavy, the weight of years of deception pressing down on the table. And then my husband did what he always did when cornered. He sneered. You're overreacting. I smiled. Slow. Cold. Am I? I reached into my purse, pulled out the neatly folded papers I'd been waiting for the right moment to reveal. His face paled when he saw the letterhead. The bank's investigation. Proof. His signature, forged. The loans, traced. His lies, documented in ink. I slid the papers across the table, watched his fingers tremble as he picked them up. Checkmate. His Adam's apple bobbed. You wouldn't. I leaned back, savoring the delicious unraveling of his arrogance. Oh, honey. I sipped my champagne, eyes never leaving his. I already did. His jaw clenched, but I saw the panic. The realization. This wasn't a fight he could win. And for the first time in years, I felt it. Power. My husband's fingers tightened around the damning documents, his knuckles widening. His mouth opened, probably to spew another lie, another excuse, but nothing came out. For the first time, he had nothing to say. I leaned back in my chair, letting the moment sink in, letting him feel the walls closing in. His gaze darted around the restaurant, scanning for a way out, a witness, anything. But there was no way to charm his way out of this. No one to manipulate. No one to save him. Not this time. Across from us, my son stood rigid, his chest rising and falling in sharp, uneven breaths. His face was still twisted in anger, but beneath that, I saw something worse, hurt, disgust. I trusted you, he said, his voice quiet but heavy. I thought you'd do anything for us. A bitter laugh. Guess I was right. You just did it for yourself instead. My husband's jaw ticked. I did it for you, he said, voice tight. You think money grows on trees? I had to make a choice. No, I tilted my head, my voice unwavering. You had plenty of choices. And you chose to steal. He scoffed, shaking his head like we were the ones being irrational. Like we were too stupid to understand his genius plan. My stomach churned. God, I had spent years watching him do this. Twist reality, shift blame, make himself the misunderstood hero of his own story. And I had let it happen. No more. I took a slow sip of champagne, savoring the way his confidence crumbled. I spoke to the bank, I said, setting my glass down. They confirmed it. Fraud. Identity theft. I let the words settle between us. I hope you're ready for what happens next. Panic flickered in his eyes. You wouldn't, I smiled. Oh, sweetheart. You still don't get it, do you? I leaned in, just enough for him to feel the ice in my voice. I already did. His breath hitched. I watched as the realization hit him like a freight train. He was cornered. I had always been the fixer, the peacemaker, the woman who smoothed out his messes before anyone could notice. But he had mistaken my kindness for weakness. A mistake he wouldn't make again. The silence stretched, suffocating. Then he laughed. Short. Bitter. You really think they'll come after me? He scoffed, tossing the papers onto the table like they were worthless. What do you want, huh? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. There. Happy. My son inhaled sharply. That's not an apology, he said through clenched teeth. His hands trembled at his sides. That's just you being pissed you got caught. A muscle jumped in my husband's jaw. Oh, cut the dramatics, he snapped. I put a roof over your head, gave you everything. No, my son's voice wavered, but his stance didn't. Mom did. And you took from her. My husband's lips pressed into a thin line. And for the first time, I saw it. Not just the fear, not just the anger, but the understanding. He had lost us. I reached into my purse again, pulling out one final document, the one that would seal this moment forever. I slid it across the table. He hesitated before picking it up. His eyes scanned the words, and his face drained of color. Divorce papers. I won't let you drag me down with you, I said, my voice steady. I won't be the woman who cleans up your wreckage anymore. His fingers crumpled the edges of the paper. You think you're better than me? He hissed. I didn't answer. I didn't have to, because deep down, he already knew. I stood, adjusting my coat. My son followed without hesitation, his shoulders squared, his face set. We walked away without another word. As we stepped outside, the cool night air hit me, filling my lungs with something that had been missing for too long. Freedom. The night air was sharp against my skin, but I barely felt it. My son walked beside me, his fists clenched, his jaw set tight. Neither of us spoke at first. What was there to say? We had just walked away from a man who had built our lives on a foundation of lies. The restaurant door swung shut behind us, the warmth of the golden chandeliers disappearing in an instant. My heartbeat was still steady, controlled, but my mind raced. The reality of what I had just done, the papers, the confrontation, the finality of it all, settled in my chest like a slow, burning ember. You okay? My son finally asked. His voice was quiet, hesitant. I exhaled. I will be. He nodded, shoving his hands into his pockets. Good. Then, after a pause, I can't believe him. I could. I had spent years believing that if I just loved him enough, if I just worked hard enough, if I just kept the peace, things would be okay. That he would change. But men like him didn't change. They just ran out of places to hide. We reached my car, and I leaned against the door, letting my head rest back for a moment. The weight of the evening pressed down, but beneath it, there was something else. Relief. I didn't belong to him anymore. My son hesitated, watching me carefully. You really reported him? I met his gaze. Yes. A slow, almost disbelieving nod. Then, for the first time that night, his shoulders relaxed. Good. I reached out, squeezing his hand. He squeezed back. But as I opened the car door, my phone buzzed. I already knew who it was before I looked. The screen glowed with his name. I let it ring. Then the text came. You think this is over? I stared at the words, my stomach twisting, not in fear, but in recognition. This was who he was. A man who would never accept losing. A man who would burn everything down before admitting he had been beaten. My son saw the look on my face. It's him, isn't it? I nodded. He stepped closer. What does he want? I turned the phone toward him. Let him see the message for himself. His eyes darkened. That sounds like a threat. It did. I took a slow breath and typed back 2 words. Try me. Then I shut my phone off. Because I wasn't afraid of him anymore. And if he thought this was over, he had no idea what was coming next. The next morning, I woke to a sharp knock at my door. My son tensed from his spot on the couch. He had insisted on staying over, just in case. Just in case his father did what men like him always did. Push boundaries, test limits, see how much more he could get away with. I pulled my robe tighter and checked the peephole. A uniformed officer stood on my porch. My stomach clenched. Not in fear, but in certainty. This was his move. I opened the door, schooling my expression into something calm, unreadable. Officer. Ma'am. He nodded. We received a report from your husband. He's claiming you threatened him last night. A slow inhale. My fingers curled against the doorframe. He said what? He claims you told him you'd ruin him. The officer continued, flipping through a small notebook. That you were trying to destroy his life out of spite. Of course. I exhaled through my nose. And did he happen to mention that he committed fraud? Or that I have a full investigation backing that up? The officer's eyes flickered with something. Curiosity, maybe even understanding. He mentioned financial disputes. Said it was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. I bit back a bitter laugh. This was classic him. He'd spent years twisting reality, shifting blame, turning himself into the victim. Now, he was doing it again. Except this time, he had the law on his side, or at least he thought he did. My son stepped beside me, arms crossed. So let me get this straight, he said, his voice edged with anger. He stole from my mom, lied, committed fraud, and now, because he's mad she didn't roll over and take it, he's trying to make her the bad guy? The officer's jaw tightened. Good. I kept my voice even. Would you like to see the evidence? A pause, then a nod. I stepped back, motioning for him to follow me inside. My son stood protectively nearby, watching every move. I grabbed the folder from the kitchen table, the one I had been holding on to, the one I knew I would need. I handed it over. The officer flipped through the pages. The forged signatures, the loan statements, the fraud investigation, and at the very top, a letter from the bank confirming what my husband had done. His lips pressed together. This is the lot. I crossed my arms. Yes, it is. He exhaled, nodding slowly. I appreciate your cooperation. I'll be making a report on this. He handed the folder back. If he contacts you again, let us know. I took the documents, my grip firm. Oh, I will. The officer tipped his hat and left. The door shut behind him, and for a moment, there was silence. Then my son let out a sharp, bitter laugh. He's really trying to play the victim. I shook my head. It's all he knows how to do. My phone buzzed again. Another text. You think you're smart? You have no idea who you're messing with. I stared at it, the weight of his desperation seeping through the screen. He was unraveling, and I was going to make sure he didn't take me down with him. I looked at my son. I need to make a call. To who? A slow smile. To someone who really knows how to deal with men like him. I dialed the number with steady fingers. 1 ring. 2. Then a clipped, professional voice answered. This is Detective Harris. I exhaled, gripping the phone tighter. Detective, this is about the fraud case I reported. A pause. Papers shuffled in the background. Yes, I remember. Your husband, correction, soon-to-be ex-husband, took out loans in your name without consent. We've confirmed the documents. I was actually about to call you. My heart pounded. And we're moving forward with charges. Relief flooded my chest. He wasn't getting away with it. I caught my son's eyes as he watched me from the kitchen, waiting. I nodded once. His shoulders sagged with the weight of everything we had been carrying. Thank you, I said, my voice steady. I also wanted to inform you. He's trying to paint himself as the victim. Filed a false report against me. Detective Harris clicked his tongue. Classic. That word made me laugh, short and sharp. Yeah, that's who he is. We'll handle it, Harris assured me. This only makes him look worse. I'll be in touch soon. I hung up, exhaling. The air in the room felt different. Lighter. But I wasn't done yet. My phone buzzed again. Another text. You really think you can win? You have no idea what I'm capable of. I smirked. Typed back 2 words. Neither do you. Then I blocked his number. The day he was arrested, I didn't go to watch. I could have stood outside, arms crossed, as they cuffed him and read him his rights. Could have let him see my face as he realized, fully, truly realized, that I was never going to clean up his mess again. But I didn't need to, because when I got the call confirming it had happened, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. My son sat beside me on the porch, staring at the fading sky. So, he said after a moment. That's it. I thought about it. Shook my head. Not quite. Because men like him, they never fully go away. There would be hearings, legal battles, more lies, more attempts to weasel out of the consequences. But it didn't matter, because I wasn't afraid of him anymore. And he knew it. Months later, I signed the final piece of paper that severed the last tie between us. My lawyer slid the documents across the table. You're officially free. I smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a forced, practiced one. A real one. Good, I said, and meant it. Outside the courthouse, my son was waiting. He stood up as soon as he saw me, hands in his pockets, eyes searching. It's done. It's done. For a moment, he just looked at me, something unreadable in his face. Then he nodded. Let's go home, Mom. Home. Not the house I had left behind. Not the life I had spent years trying to hold together. Something new. Something I had built for myself. And for the first time in a long, long time, I couldn't wait to see what came next. Months passed. Seasons changed. And one evening, as the sun dipped low over my new little house, the one without ghosts in the walls, without his fingerprints on the foundation, I sat with a book and a glass of wine, savoring the quiet. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. I didn't even hesitate. I let it ring. Then I turned it off. Because he was my past. And I was finally living in the future.